Well, good morning, or good afternoon, or good night for some of you. I'm going to be talking to you about ICH E8, but in getting to talk to you about that, I have to cover a number of other areas, because you have to see the full path of where regulatory direction has come from and is going to. Now, in case I forget, you will, some months after this presentation has finished, receive an assessment, my assessment of the final version of ICH E8 when it's released. It should be later this year. It was due for June, but of course delayed as so many things with COVID. And people attending my training courses, I like to give an assessment of the full guidance once finalized. Why can I give this training course today? I've got to tell you a bit about my background, and it's a long and extensive one. I have taught in all of your areas and worked in all of your areas, be it San Diego, be it Raleigh-Durham, where I was there earlier this year, and also in South Africa, where I've been several times, from Bloemfontein to Cape Town to Johannesburg. Well, I'm a statistician by training. I actually started in maths and geology and then went into statistical geophysics, but then transferred into the National Health Service in the UK. I spent about 5 years there and about 32 years with Boehringer Ingelheim. And in that, my latter part of my career with Boehringer Ingelheim, I worked with Transcelerate. I was seconded to work with them on risk-based monitoring, on data transparency, on quality tolerance limits. And over the past 4.5 years, I've been doing consultancy. At the back of the slide pack, you will see a list of all the companies I've worked with. Many of them I cannot name, but I've described them, whether in the top 10 or top 20 companies, whether they're small biotechs, whether they're CROs. I've worked with the Gates Foundation. I know we've got some people on today from there. Worked with Transcelerate, many vendors. So it gives my general experience. I'm not just a statistician. I have worked in advising investigators on how to ask questions when I was in the NHS. I've done CRA work. I've done auditing, as well as all those different areas. So I think that gives me the right to be able to speak to you today. So I'm going to be describing the ICH E8 guideline changes that we'll be going through those detailed changes. I'm not going to make it too much like a standard GCP training where you might want to slit your throat or cut your wrists rather than listen to any more. I hope I'll keep you amused. Then I'm going to explain the impact that it's going to have on your clinical trial conduct and what you can do to address parts of it, because it is a big challenge. It will be split into these areas where I want you to get learning objectives from, understanding the direction of the regulatory bodies, where they want us to go to, and that's going to be the first part I'm going to cover. Understanding quality by design concepts, because this is really new to the industry. We've not been used to doing this. Knowing when to implement, what methods and processes to introduce, and where to start first. These are the 3 modules. I'll try to keep to those time segments, and finally how to address those gaps in the final part. So let's talk first of all about the regulatory path. And you'll have to forgive me because I am going to go back to ICH E6 because that's really the starting point, and we have to understand the changes that have come about from that, which are driving what we're seeing in E8 and what we're going to see in ICH E6 R3, which comes next year. I tend to use a lot of slides that the regulatory bodies have developed. This slide is from the EMA. I've stolen it. You'll find out how I am a thief. And this is their view of us. They believe we do Testing in quality. This is from the EMA in 2015. And that's how they believe our SOPs are. Like suspect ladders where they're held up by pieces of sticky tape and string. I can tell you I've reviewed over 1,000 SOPs in the past 4.5 years, and they're right. I've done a good percentage of big companies, small companies, medium size, and we're not in a good position as an industry. We're far away from achieving quality by design, and that's where they want us to go. And that's not new to the regulatory bodies about wanting us to do that. They've been on this path for many years.